Sergio Farache. Great conversation with Sergio. I've been looking forward to talking to him for a while. He's from Venezuela. I opened the conversation with that, what he did there. Of course, I remember soccer, like good soccer players coming out of Venezuela, but of course, it's really known here in the States for baseball. But, he got a computer when he was 11 years old, very similar to myself. It was a Commodore 64 for those who understand these kinds of things. But fascinating conversation how he pivoted. He ended up coming to the States after college and buying a small distribution company, which eventually became, through many different iterations, TD SYNNEX, the big distributor that we know now, that helps managed service providers and other partners work and deliver their services. But his angle and his approach on how he got to where he is, he's a big cyclist. There's lots of parallels that could be drawn to running a business and understanding, how to achieve goals there. His view on discipline was very unique. And his platform that's there at TD SYNNEX is a very attractive one as well, gone through many changes as well. We do talk about AI, but a great conversation with Sergio Farache. I look forward to meeting him face to face eventually. Thanks for listening and watching. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others. Sergio Farache, thank you so much for your time. Well, tell me about what was it like growing up in Venezuela? I know nothing about the country, only its great soccer.
Well, soccer, I would say that it's more baseball than soccer, but
These
I think
days is
that
baseball, yeah.
yeah, soccer is not bad, but we didn't reach the World Cup yet. Then,
Hmm.
well, it was obviously an amazing experience. You know, the Latin world is always a combination of very entrepreneurship attitude and a lot of people human contact. I would say that those two elements are part of the culture. Sadly, as you probably know, Venezuela moved from to be one of the best economies, if not the best economy in Latin America, to the current situation that is very sad with a massive uh, political distress and issues. But in general, I would say that was a great experience, and I think that uh, create something in terms of be prepared for whatever happens. It's a
Hmm.
lot of things changing all the time, conditions, business motions. I would say that give you the perspective that everything can change at any time, and that is something that help you when you develop your own career in the future because you are prepared for change as a constant.
Do you want to connect with business leaders and engage consumers who take action? The Joey Pinz podcast delivers high impact conversations to an audience of decision makers, entrepreneurs, and professionals across multiple industries. A fast growing audience of highly engaged listeners, both B2B and B2C. Millions of listens and views across YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Brands that sponsor us see real engagement, conversations, and brand loyalty. Whether you're looking to sell a service, promote a product, or establish thought leadership, our sponsorships offer premium ad placements, exclusive episode sponsorships, full season branding, and event partnerships. Don't just advertise, become part of the conversation. Visit us at joeypins.com/sponsor to get started, or email us at sales@joeypins.com. Joey Pins Podcast, where thought leaders, brands connect. So what happened to the country? There was political unrest, and there was what happened now? Oh, I'm unaware.
Yeah, well, again, now it's a difficult situation. It's an economy that has been suffering, and of course, you have a situation where a lot of people leave the country and move to other countries. And again, I think that this process that is still in place, where things need to change in a positive way for the people in the country. It's still a lot of
Hmm.
concerns, I would say.
It sounds like the Venezuela has very similar problem than many countries where the people are wonderful, but the government's terrible.
Well, I prefer not to talk much about governments, but
Of course, of
but I,
course.
but I would say that it's always opportunities for improvement, and we hope the best for the people in Venezuela.
Hmm.
They deserve
Hmm.
a lot better than
Of
they are
course.
today.
Did you play baseball as a kid?
Not much, to be honest. I was more on the soccer side, and then the
Ah,
basketball and volleyball. Those were my sports during the kid time. Yeah, that was fun always to be in sports.
yeah, those were all team sports. But now you do a lot of cycling now, which is kind of a team sport, but it's really about you, though, right?
I think that is a combination of both. It's definitely
Hmm.
a personal context, because it's you with yourself, and it's true that you can be challenged by others, but I think that the biggest challenge is yourself and how you come from physical and mental approach to the sport. But without a doubt, it's a team sport. And in fact, one of the things that I enjoy more from the sport is the social aspect of the sport.
Hmm.
uh, is to be in a group, to go to places, to share with others, and of course some of the competitive uh, elements of the sport itself, that compare what your progress is with others.
Hmm. Have you ever been to a Tour de France?
I was once in one specific route, but not many. Only once I was there, but it's something that is passionate. The problem with the road cycling sport is that it's a very difficult sport to see in person, because
Right,
you
right.
see the people for what, 1 minute,
Right.
then
Yeah, they just zoom by. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
it's not a sport where you stay in a place, and the things happen in that place go over hundreds of kilometers. Then it's a difficult to see in person, but I definitely follow that in TV or type of summaries, because it's something that I'm passionate about.
Mm. Formula One is simple. Well, it's kind of similar. They do eventually come back, but it takes a while. And golf has that problem too. It's not the best spectator sport. But cycling, I ended up, Sergio, doing a few triathlons, and I ended up loving the swim and really, really liking the bike, and then hating the run, of course. But the bike, like you said, it's nice when you're with a group and you're kind of keeping pace, and you're all kind of collected there, and you don't want to stay too far back. You don't want to go stay too far up. And now you're in the Miami area, so there's not a lot of hills, so it shouldn't be that difficult, right? How is the riding there?
Well, it is true. It's not a mountain place at all. I would say that our mountains are the bridges. That is the
Right,
more
the
complicated
bridges,
things
yes.
that you have. But it's a different type of ride for sure, because it's flat, as you
Mm,
said, and it's more about I would say consistent and speed, because the distance are
mm,
longer, right? You don't have the challenge of, and you have the wind. Sometimes the wind is really
mm,
harder than a mountain, because if you have a 15 20 miles wind, then can be hard in terms of moving in front of that. I make a lot of analogies between business and road cycling and sport. It's
yes.
all about how you deal with those changes. You need to know where you want to really be hard, but in what moment you need to relax and be on the back, and take strength again to move forward. Then it's a very again, you can win a race, or you can be uh, in the top team in a road race, either because you are significantly stronger or you are stronger and smarter. You can be a lot
Mm.
smart in a race and still make a very good position because you race in the right way. You take your time, you analyze how you perform in the process. Then all those variables are critical, and again, is something that as a sport require a lot of planning and consistency at the same time. Then again, it's very similar to the business. You need to plan for, you need to understand how you structure uh, your time and effort to achieve the goal that you have. Then it's
Hmm.
a very disciplined methodology, I would say.
Hmm. And patience too. In biking, you got to really choose when you're going to pass, and you've got to mark your time. And same thing in business, right? You can't rush all the time. You got to choose your point. You got to create some momentum. Create some energy, save it, and then just decide when to move forward.
Absolutely. That is exactly what I said in terms of the parallels to a business process, right? Again, if you have a situation where you spend all your strengths in the first part of the race, then you will never be successful at the end, right? You need to balance your
Mm.
effort. You need to be smart when you push harder, and at the same time how you operate as a team. If you are running in a group, how the team operate, how you change positions, how some people go to the front and then others to the back to manage the strength, and how you make together what you are looking for. Then it's definitely very similar to the business, where you need to have a clear goal, understand what are your strengths and your weakness, and use that in conjunction to be successful, and understand that beside you can have very good individual or bad conditions, the team is can make you win or lose, because how
Hmm.
how how the team play, and how the people around you support you and help you make a significant difference at the end of the ride.
How did you get introduced into technology, Sergio? You started a couple of companies before going to Avnet, I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I had my first computer when I was like 11 years old. Then from that perspective, I was very passionate about technology from the start, and I started with programming. I basically launched my first company when I was 17-year old in first grade of college, and we was
Wow.
developing software for companies. The first company that we did was a software to manage English classes in Venezuela for people, and again was difficult, but we make it and we deliver the software. And when we collect the first check, we said, this can be a very profitable business
Hmm.
if you do it well. And then again, a group of friends continue developing in that direction, and that is how we built our first company. And I was working at the same time that was studying. Then was an interesting progress, and I get involved. I study system engineering as a career. Then I get more involved in technology, and then get some specialization in finance, and then I decide that I prefer to do things as an entrepreneur more than work for somebody, because I saw the potential of that. And that is how, again, we built the first company that then transformed in an association with a Latin group. And we are doing significant activities in terms of IT outsourcing for financial institutions and other type of things. And again, we were in a very, very good trajectory once the situation get complicated in Venezuela, and I decided to move to the US at that point.
Hmm.
And we moved to the US, and we acquired a small distributor that was on distress in a very complicated situation, and but have a lot of assets, meaning a good line of products, good people, and a good market that was growing. And then we basically turn around that business completely, and we end selling that business to Avnet. And how That is how I end in Avnet Technologies.
Oh,
And then Avnet was acquired by Tech Data, and Tech Data by Apollo, and then Apollo did the merger with SYNNEX, and
TD
now I
SYNNEX.
am in TD SYNNEX. That is a very short description of everything that happened in these few years.
Of your journey. Yeah. That first computer you got at 11 years old, what kind of computer was that, Sergio?
Was a Commodore. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, the Commodore 64? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that had 64 megabytes of, we were so happy with that. I can't believe it. It's got
Yeah, that was a
64.
monster.
Yeah, the sky's the limit. I had the Commodore 64 because before that I had TRS 80. I had some Atari 400 and then a 600, and then but once the Commodore came on, and even had a dot matrix printer, and yeah, that was really something. We can look back at that now and wonder. So when you got into college and you created that application, that app, let's call it, was that on the Commodore 64 as well?
No, that was already in the PC world, and we was
Ah,
working. Well, that specific program, in fact, I developed in a Macintosh because that
on a
was
Mac.
the first. My university at that time decided to bring Apple Mac as a program that Apple had at that time, and was probably 2 years after the Mac came out to the world. And I learned basically to program in Pascal, and was object oriented programming. That was revolution at that time. Then that was part of the journey where I learned a lot of things. That was my first program. Then we moved to the PC world, doing programming in Turbo Pascal, and we evolved from there to other languages, etc., C++, and all that.
Yeah, I remember Pascal was purely supposed to be an academic language, but it
Exactly.
taught
Was
you
being
object.
oriented to.
Yeah, but it was completely object oriented. All of a sudden, you could send something to different subroutines, and made you look at programs. So I taught myself basic, and that was very different. And then object orientated, and then it came into like action enabled. I mean, but so when you got into the PCs, those were the 8086s and the 8088s, the 286s. That was around that time as well.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that was part of the element. And my passion was to create things, build things, and try to
Mm,
go
mm.
farther than what was already established. Yeah, in fact, I always has been trying to develop things that are uh, breaking the model, or trying to innovate in ways that we provide things that doesn't necessarily are available at the point where we bring to the table. And that is part of my passion for technology, right? Is an area that never stop. It's something new all the
Mm,
time. It's something new that you can
yeah.
bring. And in our work here in TD SYNNEX, where I am today, that is a significant passion for us. That is how we help our partners, MSPs, CSPs, ISBs, to really bring that value to the market, how we provide the necessary tool, the capabilities, the training, the access to the vendors, the interaction between the ecosystem in a way that they can succeed on that direction. And from my software side is where I still passionate about it. As an example, with the launch of our StreamOne platform, where we basically automate all the life cycle management and all the consumption subscription models, and we enable thousands and thousands of people across the world to manage, to process, to deliver their business. That is again something that, in addition, that is my work, is something that I'm significantly passionate about it. And when I
Mm.
see a company where we start with them, and then we see how they begin to grow and perform, and be successful, is the impact that we create in all those players, and at the same times in real people, in families, because they are building businesses that bring economic wealth to the people and to the countries that we
Mm.
serve.
That is very rewarding. Sergio, when you came to the States from Venezuela, when you left, Were you said you were with a firm that bought this distribution company? Were you by yourself? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, when we moved to US, when I moved to US, I have a small group of co-investors, and we bought
I see.
a portion of this company that was in distress. The owner was
I
a
see.
investment fund, and we took a portion of that for a very attractive price because the company was in a really bad situation. And then as we flip it, then we end selling later that company to Apple.
I see. And still, even when you were in Venezuela creating this application on the Mac, it was probably in HyperCard, right? What was the big program? There wasn't really a programming language. It was like on the Mac. I remember back then. But anyway,
Well,
you're still doing that. What was it on the Mac?
yeah, was Pascal. The language was Pascal
Oh,
at the time in the Mac.
On the Mac, you actually did it in Pascal too.
Yeah.
But now you're all, many iterations later, you're at TD SYNNEX. You made this platform. You talked about it, StreamOne. When did StreamOne start? Talk to me about that, the genesis of how that started.
Well, String One Star, I would say that this is the last version of String One because String One have a history of evolution, right? But we start from the perspective of when we started with Amazon several years ago with AWS, and we confront the challenge that nobody has a platform that give the ability to manage the consumption uh, in a real time basis with usage from that perspective. And we partner with another company. We build this platform, and then we enhance that. And then when they merge with Tech Data from Avnet with Tech Data have his own assets, and we merge those
Ah,
assets. And then with Synex, something similar happening. We put several pieces from different perspectives together. But in reality, the concept behind Stream One was to create a platform that was capable to help the partners to address all the as a service transformation that was happening in the technology industry. Because one of the biggest challenges that we have with the as a service model is that it's not a transactional model, it's a life cycle model. Then
hmm.
first, it's not like you sell and you get out. It's a constant engagement. It's a recurrent billing model. You need to be able to manage, to provision, to build, and to support the customers in all this journey. Then you need a significant level of automation to avoid an operational cost. Because in the past, you sell a licensed software and you come back the next year to sell the next one.
Hmm.
Now it's not anymore like that. All the softwares have a life cycle management. You can up seats, down seats, or if you go to the consumption, it's more complicated because now it's a utility billing process where you are basically addressing elements like, okay, the resources that are used, that are consumed, how I control that, how I project how those consumptions, how I optimize the consumption for my needs, how I fragment those costs by department and assign the cost in the proper department, etc. Then if you give that without a platform that is capable not only to control and manage that, but extend that capability to the end user in a way that you have a digital end to end from the vendor to the distributor to the partner to the end user is very cost for a partner to do that in
Hmm.
Excel or by hand, right? It's not something. And then this get more complex and complex because these platforms that are basically the enable of all that need to connect to the operational platforms of the partners. So if you take the case of an MSP that I know that came to your channel a lot, again, they have ConnectWise, they have Autotask, they have other PSAs. Okay, then we develop connectors that connect with those systems in a way that you have a full digital integration and don't duplicate the work. Uh, Others don't want PSAs because they have other systems. Then we have APIs that enable that integration. Others don't have the capability to build their own marketplaces. Then we offer white label marketplace where you can easily construct your marketplace based on our platform and deliver digitally to your customers. then it's basically StreamOne is significantly more than a marketplace. It's a complete platform that create significant operational efficiency for the MSPs, CSPs, ISBs, but at the same time help you to quickly accelerate revenue because all the combination of offer portfolio recommendations that we provide, etc. And at the same time, we help the partners with our training capabilities to reduce their skill gap because a lot of this new technology have a significant skill gap that you need to fulfill. Then we create a complete element related to training courses, practice building capabilities to help these companies to succeed not only with the digital tools, but with the delivery of technology to the partners.
Your brand deserves to be in front of the right audience decision makers, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are ready to take action. That's exactly who listens to the Joey Pinz podcast. Thousands of engaged business leaders and consumers tune in every week. Millions of views and listens across YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Sponsors see real impact, higher engagement, brand trust, and conversations. We offer strategic partnerships tailored to your goals, including targeted ad placements, branded guest appearances, multi-episode and event sponsorships. Make your brand part of the conversation. Let's grow together. Visit joeypins.com/sponsor to explore sponsorship opportunities or email us at sales@joeypins.com. The Joey Pinz podcast, where brands and thought leaders connect. Yeah, dealing with as a service can be complicated. So I started my MSP in the 90s, Sergio, and I ended up selling in 2019. I work with a lot of MSPs now. So if you're an MSP and you only know TD SYNNEX just from a distribution standpoint, not familiar with this platform, with this StreamOne platform, because all other distributors have a platform.
Yeah.
What should we know about it? I know it's with some of the competitors you can actually provision, you could stand up the as a service for their clients. You can purchase through it. Is it also a marketplace?
Yeah, I would say that first thing is it's a big mistake when the only thing that you see is only the platform in a distributor because the platform is a critical component, but it's not the only component. You need to understand what is the stack of value that that distributor can bring to you. As an example, did that distributor help you to cover the skill gap? Meaning, is he investing in give you the skills, understand and provide the materials to develop your team? Is this distributor helping you with things like we create something that is called practice builder, where we help to create a practice completely in a company related to, I don't know, cloud security or data or AI? Is helping you to fulfill those gaps that you can have. The second layer of that is, okay, how that distributor can really support your needs in terms of portfolio. Is this a distributor that only can give you the sales of a specific vendor? Or is a distributor where you can find whatever you need from the perspective of the technology needs? Again, we have more than 1,500 vendors in our portfolio, from a single PC or tablet to a more complex AI engine or system. Then basically, if you need it, we can help you to address that. The third layer of that is the platform. That is another component, right? But is 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 the platform think in a way that help you to reduce your operational costs, to accelerate your revenue, and to increase your value to the end user, or is only a marketplace where you can transact? Because it's a big difference, right? When we create StreamOne, we thought to enable a complete platform with all the capabilities that we have in an NTR model. And that is a big difference because what we offer to the partners is exactly the same capabilities that we have as a distributor. For them, they can offer to their users. They can create their own price books, their own structure. They can onboard their own products, their own vendors. They can interconnect with third-party systems. They can use APIs. Again, is all this framework of elements, not only a transactable marketplace. We have a transactable marketplace, but that is only one component of the model. The other thing is, are they supporting you financially? Do they have proper credit lines, structure, model to support your business? Is distributor capable to deliver service when you have service gaps? Because, as an example, when we bring significant new technologies like the deployment of AI or a new Azure or Amazon or Google service, do you have those skills? Probably not. Then we can help you with a white label service to develop that until you develop the skills. Is the distributor
Mm.
committed to you as a partner? Meaning, as an example, TD SYNNEX never go direct to end users, always go through partners. Then all those are the questions that you need to bring to the table. Yes, the platform is a critical factor, and we believe that we are the best, if not one of the best, in this segment. But my advice to a customer, a partner, an MSP is you need to see the full picture, because the value is
Mm.
across the value stack, not only in one element of the value stack.
So I talk to MSPs a lot, Sergio, and the last 3 or 4 years, it's been pretty consistent when I ask them what keeps them up at night. And it's three. It's three items. The first one is security. They're worried about their clients getting attacked. They're fixed rate. So now they've got to allocate resources to remedy it. The client's down, they're down. Everybody loses. They worry about that. Two is human capital. You mentioned the skill gap, but they're worried about human capital. How are they going to replace their big technicians if they leave? How are they going to get new technicians? And third is just general growth. Generally, they're tech led. They're not really good at some of those soft skills of sales and marketing. Private equity has put in hundreds of billions of dollars. So now they're concerned about growth. All their friends are selling their MSPs and they're getting nice cars and they want to grow as well. Given those three items, how does TD SYNNEX, the platform, and all the entities help MSPs?
Well, that is fantastic question. And let me start then for the first one, that is security. We have the pleasure to lead basically in that space. We have a significant penetration in the security market. We have probably the best portfolio of security players that is in the market, that is available to our customers. But not only that, we really invest in help the partners to really again enhance that capability. From training perspective, we develop a complete series of 101s, 201s, 301s that are available for them. From practice builder perspective, we create a complete practice builder development to enable you to create a security practice inside your company, from an initial level to a high sophisticated level. From the perspective of show and demo and real life user experience, we create something that is called a cyber range. The cyber range exists, and you basically have more than 5 millions in security equipment available for the partners, where they can test real life and create white hacker scenarios around that. Then is all this set of elements. And finally, in the platform, specifically when you talk about the StreamOne, we introduce a SecOps capability that give you the ability to monitor your environments. And now we are starting with one of the hyperscalers, but we are moving with the rest, where you can have a security posture, and as a consequence of that security posture, you can identify how you improve the security situation of your end user and your relationship with him. Then that is all, and it's only about security. Then, do you want me to move to the second plugin?
Please.
Okay.
MSPs are listening, Sergio. They want to hear. Yes.
Well, perfect. Then the second, sorry, can you refresh me the second topic?
Human capital.
Human capital. I think that we discussed that in relationship to all the uh, batch capability and training capability. In fact, we launched the TD SYNNEX batch that you can get as a certification, that you went through the course and you passed the course, that give you a recognition from the perspective that you at least complete that process. Or you can engage in a more sophisticated model, that is this concept of practice builder. And we, in addition to that, have our academy, our website, where you can basically reach to that content, analyze and download or participate in those elements. Then, and in addition to that, we have, of course, all the formal training for vendors that we deliver, but we invest significantly in what is not delivered by vendors, that is around skill, competencies, and how you build your own business in this sector. And the third
Mm,
element,
growth.
growth. Then in growth, we are doing several things. First, one of the elements that we are bringing is significant use of data. We have 150,000 partners across the world. We operate with 1,500 or more vendors, and we manage all those interactions with all the end users that they serve. Then we finally have a significant data lake of what is happening, what are the trends, what is the industry. In addition to obviously analysts, we combine those elements and we are capable to work with the partners in terms of understand, okay, where do you want to go? What are the areas that are hyper growing? How we help you to focus in those areas in a way that you perform in a market that naturally is growing, and that help you obviously to grow faster. The second element is we provide significant assets, marketing tools, campaign models, elements that give you pre-built elements in a way that you don't need to invest and recreate the wheel. And finally, working with vendors in conjunction with partner, we have the ability to do market segmentation and uh, campaigns and persona-driven messaging in a way that we can work with a specific partner, with a specific vendor, understand the segment that he serves, and create a persona-driven campaign to the end users that they serve to accelerate that aspect of understanding of their offer, driving consumption, and in addition to that, helping to accelerate growth. The platform basically enable that the growth don't cost you more, because all the
Hmm.
growth will be digitally processed, cross-sell, upsell will be activated through the platform. Then those elements facilitate and reduce the time to market from the perspective of execution. Then that is how I think that we cover those three elements. Very compelling story in security, huge
Yes.
investment in skill gaps, and growth through data and segmentation and marketing activities in conjunction with the partner base.
How is AI helping you and TD SYNNEX help MSPs and partners?
Well, it's in multiple layers, right? First, AI is creating a new dynamic in terms of demand in the market that didn't happen before. We are seeing for first time a significant level of adoption of AI in multiple different use cases scenarios. And we are working actively with the vendors to drive those specific use cases to the partners to help them grow. AI is helping us in multiple layers. First, is making our process simpler and more automated. Is reducing the time that we invest in manual activities, and now we can redirect the use of that time to serve better the partners, to focus on them. Is increasing our ability to deliver a better answers, better time. And we are working including in elements like consolidating knowledge in a way that when a partner asks for something, we can retrieve that knowledge and bring the right answers at the right time to the partners in that direction. Then
Mm.
I think that we are embedding AI across our tools, across our processes, to create more efficiency. But more than efficiency, we are concerned is about how we increase the customer satisfaction that we deliver in terms to provide the right answer at the right time to the right person.
So that's how it's helping. Is it hurting? Is it making things difficult at all?
Well, until now,
AI?
I don't think that is hurting. I think that add a layer of complexity. I think that some people probably underestimate the work that is behind to properly prepare the data, to really extract value from AI and what you serve, because
Mm,
garbage in, garbage out. Then you need to be very careful with how you structure, curate, and provide and train the models in a way that their answers are appropriate. The other factor that we invest a lot of time and effort is comply with regulations. As you know, Europe and many other countries have deep regulations in terms of the type of data, how you manage the data in an aggregate way, not in an individual way. Then we has been very careful in how we enabling the use of AI externally, because we want to ensure that anything that we do is not only good from the perspective of the delivery, but good from the perspective of compliance, to avoid that we are
mm,
using or manipulating data in a way that is not appropriate. And that require time and effort, and we are investing that time and effort.
hmm. We talked about how you love to see the platform tech data help businesses that help the community. Technology, it's a kind of love hate. I love technology because it's constantly changing and evolving, and I hate technology because it's constantly changing and evolving. So so what is it about technology, specifically about you, that keeps you going? You've been doing it since you're a kid, and now here we are decades later.
Yeah, again, believe it or not, again, I think that I get bored very easy. Then
Mm,
I need that constant challenge, either in my sport life, in my personal life, or in the
mm,
technology life. I want to ensure that we are responding and we are addressing um, the maximum potential all the time. And I think that, again, technology is one of those few places where you have the opportunity to be constantly challenged, not be steady.
yeah, you can't. Yeah, I can't. I got to constantly be learning, Sergio. I have to. I
Yeah.
can't. I can't kind of sit still. Has there been anything in the last month or so, 6 weeks, Sergio, that you changed your mind on?
Well, I will say that the only I will say that it's not absolutely so recent, but it's an evolution in my thinking that has been changing constantly for the last 3 years. Is the pace of change, how much the people can really absorb. I
Mm,
was probably more inclined that you can push a lot of change in the system, and the system, if you plan correctly and you manage the change, that can be absorbed as a fast pace. But as I learn and I mature more in the change management of that space, now I am more careful, and with our teams we are more careful to properly prioritize the change that we are introducing in a way that we are more effective, and not
mm.
necessarily disruptive, because at some point change can be disruptive if you don't manage in the right way. Then that balance that you talked before, that I think that is something that we realize, because now the level of change is coming so fast that we need to manage that in the proper way, to ensure that the people really is capable to absorb that change on the right time.
Yeah, really, really good point. So, Sergio, I started my MSP in the 90s and I was working way too hard. We got a couple of clients like you did, 14, 16-hour days, and I was working more, getting employees in, not paying attention to my health. I played soccer as a kid too, and tennis and things like that. And next thing you know, I'm at the doctor's office and I'm at 340 pounds. So I'm currently 205, 32-inch waist. I was 340 pounds, 46-inch waist. And the doctor says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. My daughter was just born. Scared the life out of me. I'm driving home, I'm punching the steering wheel. What have I done to myself? This is my pie hole. I'm the one who did it. So I spent the next 6, 7 months, lost 130 pounds, and I kept it off. You can't look at it as a finishing line. These are lifelong changes. So when I
Absolutely.
tell this story, Sergio, yeah, thank you. When I tell this story, people always say, what's your secret? What you do? And there's no secret. You mentioned it before, discipline. That's how I lost it. That's how I kept it. I got a motivation. I got a routine. I wonder, how does discipline play a role in your life, Sergio Farache?
Yeah, I think that discipline is an essential element, without a doubt, and I think that we all pass for those hiccups in our life, right? I won't say
Mm,
that I reached to the point that I was so overweight, but definitely in many times in my life, I went to a point where I said, where I'm going. And when that happened, always the answer was return to the basics. You need to find the right balance for yourself in the things where you are putting your priorities. And I think that the first discipline is to have your priorities clear, because if you don't prioritize the right things at the right time, you don't have discipline, you don't have control. Once you prioritize those things, the discipline only enables you to execute. I said many times to my teams that you are usually naturally inclined for some things that are easy for you, but are others that are not in your nature or you are not naturally inclined. The only way that you can change that behavior is creating a discipline behind it. As an example, and
mm,
I recognized for many years I hasn't been so good. I do it, but I hasn't been so good in recognizing the people, the success, what they are doing, right? I was always so focused on what we need to achieve that I don't invest enough time telling the people how good they are and what the things they are doing in this moment. Then what I did
mm,
was to implement a recognition monthly event in my calls with my team, because that forced me to establish
hmm,
a specific time and process. And then now begin, as I iterate over the years, now it's natural, because I make something that wasn't natural for me a practice, and I make it happen,
hmm.
and now it's a habit. Then I think that that is how discipline can change behavior in a significant way, because can transform a weakness in a strength through
Hmm.
discipline.
Yeah, and through those meetings and the iteration, you also create accountability. So you're able to track and you'll be able to see that. Have you always, even as a child, had this view of discipline as kind of an essential element?
I always was, yeah. If you talk to my friends, everybody will tell you that I am a workaholic, right? That is,
Ah,
a little fanatic with the things, or, uh, you know, I change, as I said many times in my life, but usually when I enter in something, I go deep and deep and deep and deep
mm,
until I think that I reach to the point where I, in some way, master it or understand deeply.
hmm,
uh, Not necessarily I keep it for all the time. I change probably the course once I get bored, because it's not too much more to learn. But that personal trend helped me with discipline, because I tend to be persistent in everything that I do, and I think that that is parallel to discipline. It's not necessarily the same, but it's parallel, because to really master discipline, you need to be persistent. It's the only way, because you need
mm,
to go ahead sometimes when the obstacles appear. Uh, and I think, again, if we go back to the conversation about road bike, I'm still, I have my road bike, and I enjoy it, but I have a formal training program. I use a tool that is Training Peaks, where I basically set up my training. I have a coach where I review on a monthly basis my execution. Then I follow
wow.
exactly the same business practice for my sport, because I see the impact of that, the progress that I get, and I can measure it, because that is the other thing. Discipline without measure not necessarily bring
Mm,
you results. You need to have discipline, but you need to be able to measure, to generate the accountability that you call. And it's the same in business. You can have discipline, you can say that people is doing the same or is pursuing that goal, but if you don't measure, if you don't identify the changes, if you don't understand the reason why something is changing, you will not achieve to the goal or the progress that you are looking for.
Hmm. Very well said. What motivates you, Sergio?
Well, I would say that nothing motivates me more than my family. I am very
Hmm.
family oriented. But after that, again, I will say that what motivates me is a challenge. When I see something that others consider difficult to achieve or impossible to achieve, that is the place where I want to be. I always has been taking things that others consider either not real. I still remember when I start my work in cloud, uh, the conversation in the room at that point, and it's not relevant who was in that room, but the conversation in the room at that point was if we should do something in this area because that could be nothing. And my point was, no, I think that this will be big, but will depend on how we play it. And again, be in the right time in the right place and take the challenge is what make your career different. Because if you stay in the comfort zone, you won't get more.
Looking for a powerful way to reach business leaders and engage consumers? The Joey Pinz podcast connects brands like yours with an audience that listens, engages, and takes action. High impact exposure with a fast growing loyal audience. Millions of views and listens across major platforms. Sponsors see increased brand awareness, trust, and conversations. We make sponsorships simple and effective with custom ad placements that fit your brand, deep audience engagement through authentic conversations, long-term exposure across podcast platforms and social media. Don't miss the opportunity to connect with your ideal customers. Visit joeypins.com/sponsor to secure your sponsorship today. Or you can email us at sales@joeypins.com. The Joey Pins Podcast, where conversations drive results. No, you won't. So given that motivation, you said your family, and then of course, in business and in keeping yourself motivated, seeing a challenge, how do you measure success?
Well, a big part of how I interpret success is for the impact that you can create in others,
Mm,
right?
impact.
I think that success, I multiple ways to measure success, but for me is how I can basically, you know, when I see my kids graduated, working, happy, prioritizing happiness over money sometimes, that is success
Hmm.
because we did something good to make that happen, right? When I see my team delivering results that are not expected or developing their careers or moving to positions, that means that I make something right with them. That is for me the best measure of success. Is less, yes, it's a component about you and your own success and if you make money or not. I won't be naive to say that no, but I think that I remember from a methodology that is called balance scorecard. That is an old methodology of how you align a strategy to execution. And the guy who invented balance scorecard, he said that if you if you take care of the components, meaning the processes, the people, the activities with customer, the activities with vendors, if all this works, the financial return came along. And it's wrong in sometimes because the people, instead of worrying about the fundamentals that create the financial success, is people that focus only in the financial success, believing that that will drive the financial success. No, it's the foundation that drive the financial success. That is what I said, that for me success is what you has been able to influence, to make change, or to bring to others, because that will bring your own success.
Hmm. That's really, really inspiring, Sergio. I thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed this conversation. Love your perspective. My parents are immigrants, so I always want to kind of hear, when they came over, what it was like and everything. It's always fascinating to me. I'm not sure many of my peers can really kind of appreciate that, coming to a new country like this and almost starting over. But I really appreciate your time. Anybody listening wants to get in touch with you, how can they do so?
Yeah, absolutely. On one side is LinkedIn uh, is the best way probably to do it. But again, in TD SYNNEX, you can connect to us via website or our emails, and I will be happy to redirect you to the right people, or answer any question. I will say that, remembering what you just said about the immigrant, when I arrived to US, uh, I remember my after 2 months in place, because again we bought a company that was in real distress. I talked to my wife. I think that probably we will need to come back. And
Wow.
living that experience changed the way that you think a lot about the things. Right, you need to really survive as part of the process.
Mm,
And I think that the only thing that I can tell you is I love dramatically US. I think that it's a fantastic country, and
mm.
it's an incredible opportunity for everybody that arrived to this country, the opportunities that this country offers.
Yeah, that's a wonderful, wonderful sentiment. So on LinkedIn, it's Sergio, Sergio Farache, Farache. We'll make sure to put it on the show notes. And of course, TD SYNNEX, it's TDSYNNEX.com. Sergio, I thank you so much for your time. I hope that when we get together, if I'm in your neck of the woods, the first drink is on me.
That will be great. Good to see you, and thank you for sharing the time with me.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pin's Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pin's Discipline Conversations.